Hello Capricorns, welcome to Brace the Moon Tarot and your reading for June 2018. I am just focusing on heart, body, and soul, and within the heart we have the Lovers here, and it feels very much that there are some heartfelt connections that you have made in your lifetime right now that you are feeling that they feel like they're crumbling. They're not what they once were, and there's a sense of negativity that comes with it. So whatever the events are, however they are transpiring, they're leaving you feeling a bit bitter. The events are leaving you feeling bitter. And so there is a sense of hyper-criticism that's happening within your heart towards these people or person. And you're just being asked to take a step back and remember that initial connection with them, and see them where they are now in relationship to where they were when you first met them. Have a good look at who they were then and who they are now. Did they truly change? And if they did, have a look at yourself and who you were when you first met them and who you are now. And did you change? And then have a look at the changes that you both may or may not have made. You know, it could be something where they didn't change and you did, and you've kind of outgrown that person. It could be something where they have changed, but because of the direction they have grown into, it doesn't resonate with you anymore. And sometimes these things happen and it's okay. Sometimes we have these connections which are great when they happen. They serve a purpose, they fulfill that purpose, and it's time to move on. And sometimes we can just kind of get lost along the way. And it's just a matter of looking at them, looking at ourselves, looking at the relationship, looking at the connection. And you may see that the connection's still there, but maybe it's just kind of foggy and you two can't see it anymore. So it's just kind of, you're being asked to just look at yourself, look at your heart, look at the person, look at the relationship, try to have a better understanding of defining all of those aspects. And if it is one of those things where it is a connection that you need to walk away from, by all means walk away from them. Don't beat yourself up over it. But just ensure that you are indeed supposed to walk away from them, and make sure that the connection is not still available and you just can't see it because it's gotten a little foggy. All right, so I hope that makes sense to you. But that's what we have in the emotional aspect. In the physical aspect, we have Ace of Pentacles. This feels health oriented, but it feels like a positive thing. And I'm not really getting a whole lot other than that, but it feels like there's going to be a shift as far as your health is concerned. And this can run the gamut from, you having a specific condition that you've been making changes for, and now you're healed and moving on, to that medical prescription that you've been waiting for your insurance to finally cover. They, for some weird reason, either they're covering the one or they're covering the cheaper, but now you have access to something that you really need for your health. It could be either of those scenarios or a gamut of scenarios that fall somewhere in between of those two. But I definitely have a sense that this is health oriented, and there's going to be a flip to the positive for you. And if that doesn't apply, then it doesn't apply. Sometimes these messages, all three cards apply, and sometimes it's one or two combination, but take what you get and leave the rest, Within the soul, I have the Knight of Swords, and I feel that towards the second week of June, there's going to be a disruption that's going to kind of create a negative mental reaction from you. So you're going to make some progress. You're going to be going in the right direction that feels right for you, for personal growth and expansion. And then somewhere along the line, something's going to happen, and then there's going to be this sense of going back and retaliating, whatever it is. All I can say is be strategic. I am not going to tell you whether or not you should be retaliating. I think you already know that, whether it's happening, has happened, or when it happens sooner or later. You know what your reaction should be, or rather response. I find responding to things is so much better than reacting, right? Reacting is often very volatile. But be strategic, and sometimes that means taking time to take a step back and kind of rethink the situation, and maybe instead of charging into it with, our double-edged sword ready to swing, maybe you should just charge in the other direction and leave it. But only you can answer that question. But definitely, there's going to be something that kind of lights a fire under your soul, and there is a sense of reaction that comes with it, like this mental kind of negative desire. Like I said, going in, charging in with a double-edged sword. Just be mindful of the fallback of that action. That's all I can say. So I went ahead and I pulled a card from Spirit, and I have hope is a conduit for miracles. And this feels like it's a bit separate from the other ones. In some regards, it's just kind of letting you know that it's all is well with your soul. That term just popped in my mind. All is well with your soul. As long as you're tending to your soul, you're staying pure of heart, pure of soul, pure of intent, all is well. And kind of keep that hope in your mindset when you're moving through these things, especially when these events are out of your control, especially when the events are people that you can't control, and you shouldn't be trying to control those people. It's really not nice. So, just kind of keep your focus on hopeful thoughts. And I'm not saying put your head in the sand and being hopeful, but there really is a lot to be said when you keep your head filled with positive words. I'm thinking of that. There's a science experiment that was done a long time ago where someone had done, they wrote down words of positive affirmation, and the most primary being love, but other positive affirmation, and they wrote words of negative connotations like hate, and they filled up containers with water, and they put the positive words next to certain containers, and then they put the negative words next to other containers, and then put them in the freezer. And the crystallization that happened within the water when it froze on the positive terms were beautiful. And the words that were negative, the water that froze next to those had a more negative or a less beautiful, kind of sporadic, definitely not breathtaking crystallization when those water containers froze. And if you just Google it, you can find the research and the message with that. But that's saying something as far as negative words and positive words. And so I'm not saying that we should stick our head in the sands and try to be positive and, la, 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 I can't hear the negative. I'm not saying that, but there's definitely a lot to be said with what we fill our head with. And if it's constantly filled with negative, it's going to be a conduit for negative things. But if you fill it with more positive thoughts, affirmations, concepts, considerations, fill it with love, it will be a conduit for more positive things, and that includes miracles. So just keep that in mind as you move through the month of June. And yeah, that is all I have for you. Keep your thoughts towards the more positive. Feed yourself the hope you desire. All right, that is all I have for you, Capricorn, for the month of June. I hope June is good to you. Be good to yourself, and hopefully I will see you in July.